Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we're diving into some eye-opening stories from around the world. First up, Louisiana has become the epicenter of America's deportation machine, modeled after Amazon and FedEx logistics systems. Detention centers run by private companies are turning human beings into commodities, with efficiency and profit taking precedence over human rights. Critics are raising alarms about the harsh conditions and systemic cruelty behind these deportation alley operations. Next, a big legal win. An appeals court has upheld a ban preventing ICE from detaining people based solely on their appearance, language, or job. This decision challenges the Trump administration's aggressive tactics, emphasizing the importance of constitutional protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. It's a step forward in safeguarding immigrant rights against discriminatory enforcement. Finally, across the Atlantic, Britain is cracking down on social media ads promoting smuggling services. New laws threaten smugglers with up to 5 years in prison and hefty fines, aiming to curb dangerous channel crossings. Despite these efforts, migrant arrivals via boats are still rising, sparking political debates about the effectiveness of these tough new measures. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed insights. The Independent vividly illustrates how ICE has transformed Louisiana into America's primary deportation hub, likening the agency's operations to the efficiency of Amazon and FedEx, where human beings are treated like packages. The Alexandria Detention Facility, with its dual function as a staging ground and airport, exemplifies this approach, facilitating the rapid movement of thousands of detainees across the country and abroad. ICE officials openly aspire to run their deportation process with corporate-like precision, with statements from Acting Director Todd Lyons emphasizing the importance of treating detainees like commodities in a business model, highlighting the disturbing parallels to private logistics giants. This facility, surrounded by swampland and heat that soars into triple digits, detains thousands of immigrants, many of whom face limited access to legal counsel and are held in inhumane conditions, revealing a system heavily privatized and driven by profit, with private prison companies like GEO Group operating most of the detention centers. The Los Angeles-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has recently upheld a critical ruling against ICE's mass deportation tactics, emphasizing the constitutional protections of the Fourth Amendment. The court found that ICE cannot detain individuals solely based on superficial factors such as race, language, or perceived job type, which ICE agents previously relied upon to justify arrests during sweeping raids in Southern California. These roving patrols targeted specific business sectors, like car washes, under the guise of law enforcement, but often detained innocent individuals without reasonable suspicion or proper identification. The court's decision represents a significant legal setback for the Trump administration's aggressive deportation policies, reinforcing the need for law enforcement to adhere to constitutional standards and safeguarding the rights of immigrants from arbitrary detention based on appearance or ethnicity. The Independent also sheds light on the troubling revolving door between ICE and private prison corporations, notably GEO Group, which manages numerous detention centers across the country. High-level officials frequently transition between government roles and private sector positions, creating conflicts of interest and fueling the expansion of detention capacity. For instance, former ICE executives now hold senior roles at GEO, and vice versa, with the government awarding lucrative contracts to private firms like GEO, which operates over 20 detention facilities and holds a quarter of the nation's ICE beds. This symbiotic relationship bolsters the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement, with record-breaking detention numbers and increased funding, turning detention centers into profit-making enterprises. The intertwining of government and private interests raises profound ethical concerns about the exploitation of detainees and the prioritization of corporate profits over human rights, exemplifying a system where immigration enforcement is driven by financial incentives and institutionalized for profit detention. The Associated Press reports that Britain is intensifying its efforts to combat illegal migration via the English Channel by targeting social media advertisements used by people smuggling gangs. The government has announced that those who promote fake passports or smuggling services online could face up to 5 years in prison and hefty fines. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper emphasizes the moral depravity of these tactics, which promise migrants a safe passage and a new life in the UK solely for profit. This initiative is part of a broader legislative push to empower law enforcement with stronger tools, including seizing assets and increasing border surveillance, aiming to dismantle the networks responsible for perilous crossings. Despite these measures, the number of migrants arriving by boat has surged by 50% this year, fueling political debates and protests, with opposition parties criticizing the government for inefficacy and highlighting the backlog in processing asylum applications, which leaves many in temporary accommodations and heightens tensions in local communities. The Independent highlights Britain's ongoing battle with illegal crossings, focusing on the recent government crackdown on smuggling operations that exploit social media platforms. The authorities aim to dismantle these networks by criminalizing the promotion of illegal services online, with potential prison sentences and fines serving as deterrents. Prime Minister Keir Starmer underscores the seriousness of these gangs, equating their threat to that of terror organizations, and the government has responded by strengthening border controls, seizing assets, and enhancing international cooperation, especially with France. Nevertheless, despite these efforts, the influx of migrants continues to rise, and political discourse remains polarized. Conservatives accuse Starmer's administration of inaction and criticize the scrapping of previous policies like the Rwanda deportation plan, arguing that the government's current approach appears reactive rather than strategic, with the backlog of asylum seekers further complicating social and political tensions. The Toronto Star shares a heartfelt story from a summer camp, illustrating how childhood experiences shape resilience and friendship. A young girl recalls her first camp adventure, where a fall left her face scraped and swollen, fueling her embarrassment. Yet, her bunkmates' kindness and shared stories helped her see beyond her injuries. The story takes a poignant turn when her new friend, who lost toes in a childhood accident, bravely joins the Barefoot Club at camp despite teasing fears, demonstrating courage and acceptance. Their bond deepens through playful activities, campfire songs, and shared mishaps, such as a stubbing injury that ends her friend's barefoot summer. The narrative celebrates the transformative power of camp, a place where children learn that inner qualities matter more than appearances, and where friendships foster confidence and understanding. It also highlights the efforts of the camp's founder, now a grandmother, who dedicates her summers to giving children from diverse backgrounds the chance to experience joy, friendship, and growth, emphasizing the enduring impact of childhood adventures and community support. The Sydney Morning Herald vividly captures the heart-wrenching experience of Tianjing Day Dang, a talented young artist from Brisbane, who faced an unexpected setback when new U.S. visa policies required social media checks. Despite his impressive portfolio and acceptance into the prestigious Rhode Island School of Design, Dang's application was rejected due to a 221G administrative hold, highlighting the complexities and delays added by heightened scrutiny amid a backdrop of U.S. immigration policy shifts. The story underscores how these bureaucratic hurdles, compounded by the U.S.'s high visa backlogs and administrative cuts, threaten to derail promising international students like Dang, whose art reflects a celebration of cultural diversity and personal journeys. His resilience and the symbolic power of art shine through as he prepares for a possible delay or cancellation of his studies, illustrating the broader impact of political policies on individual dreams and the value of cultural exchange. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation details the controversy ignited by the mass removal of adult-themed video games from digital platforms like Steam and itch.io, driven by new policies aligned with payment processors' restrictions. The campaign, led by Collective Shout, targeted violent and sexually explicit content, claiming such games perpetuate misogyny and normalize violence against women, thus fueling a moral panic. The swift censorship, which included banning titles with themes like rape, incest, and coercion, sparked widespread outrage from gamers and developers who viewed these actions as an attack on free speech and creative expression. Critics argue that the campaign's focus on extreme examples is a tactic to justify broader censorship, disproportionately affecting marginalized creators, including queer and trans developers. The debate highlights the tension between protecting societal values and preserving artistic freedom, with industry groups warning that overreach could stifle diverse voices and legitimate creative work. Rival protests in London, reported by the Associated Press, vividly portray the tense clash between anti-immigrant and pro-refugee groups outside a hotel housing asylum seekers. Hundreds of demonstrators waved Union Jacks and chanted hostile slogans like "Scum" and "Britain is full," demanding the closure of the facility. In stark contrast, counter-protesters responded with messages of welcome, chanting "Refugees are welcome here," as police maintained order. These protests are part of a larger pattern of rising hostility fueled by misinformation, fears over safety, and political agitation, especially after the violent riots of the previous year, where mobs attacked migrant accommodations, mosques, and police stations. The tragic stabbing of 3 girls in Southport, falsely linked online to recent migrants, exemplifies how misinformation can ignite violence and social divisions. Experts warn that while current protests remain relatively small, the underlying tensions rooted in fear, prejudice, and misinformation threaten to escalate, emphasizing the fragile state of social cohesion amid ongoing debates over immigration and national identity. The Toronto Star reports a significant legal victory for immigrant rights advocates in Southern California, where a federal appeals court has upheld a lower court's temporary restraining order that prevents the Trump administration from conducting broad, indiscriminate immigration enforcement actions. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals emphasized that the government cannot rely solely on factors such as race, language, location, or occupation to justify detention, especially in a diverse area like Los Angeles where such profiling could unfairly target Latinos and other minorities. The case was sparked by allegations that federal agents were systematically targeting individuals based on ethnicity during enforcement operations, with a notable incident captured on video showing a U.S. citizen being detained in East LA. The government argued that they needed more time to present evidence and that their policies did not officially endorse racial profiling, but the judges questioned the legality of broad profiling criteria and underscored the constitutional protections against racial discrimination in immigration enforcement. BBC highlights Kemi Badenoch's candid reflections on her identity, revealing that she no longer considers herself Nigerian despite her ancestry and childhood in Nigeria. Born in the UK and raised partly in Nigeria and the US, Badenoch explained that her main identity is now British, having returned to the UK at age 16 due to Nigeria's political instability. She recounted her experiences visiting Nigeria, where she had to get a visa, and described her feelings of not quite belonging there, despite her familial ties and interest in the country's affairs. Badenoch's comments drew criticism from Nigeria's vice president, who accused her of denigrating Nigeria, but she clarified that her sense of home is now firmly rooted in the UK. Her remarks reflect her complex personal background and the evolving nature of national identity, especially for those with multicultural roots who navigate multiple cultural spheres. The Associated Press details the emotional and legal struggles faced by Dr. Wafa Al-Rashid, whose Tunisian musician husband, Rami Othmane, was detained in Los Angeles amidst the recent surge of immigration raids. Despite living in the U.S. for over a decade and having a pending green card application, Othmane was stopped and arrested while driving, shocking his wife who watched helplessly via FaceTime. Her account paints a stark picture of the harsh conditions in detention, with Othmane held in a cold, overcrowded facility without basic necessities. Al-Rashid's story underscores the widespread fear and disruption caused by the federal crackdown, affecting even legal permanent residents and citizens. Community members rallied outside the detention center, performing music as an act of resistance and solidarity, while Al-Rashid fights to secure her husband's release on bail. Her narrative highlights the personal toll of immigration enforcement policies and the resilience of those fighting for their loved ones amid systemic challenges. The Independent vividly illustrates the heartbreaking surge in abandoned pets across the United States, a consequence of President Donald Trump's immigration raids. As families are torn apart and individuals detained or deported, animal shelters are overwhelmed with animals left behind in empty homes or surrendered by distressed owners. Damie Blaine, from South Florida's Adopt and Save a Life rescue mission, laments that her shelter is now inundated with pets whose owners have been deported, highlighting the tragic reality that these animals are paying the ultimate price for immigration enforcement. Across the country, shelters from Nashville to Los Angeles report an increase in animals abandoned after their owners are taken away, with some dogs found emaciated and left without food or water, revealing the unintended collateral damage of harsh immigration policies. The crisis exposes the fragility of animal rescue systems already strained by pandemic-related shortages and declining adoptions, raising fears that some animals may face euthanasia due to lack of space, as shelters scramble to cope with the influx of displaced pets. Yahoo US recounts the unsettling story of a 10-year-old boy abandoned at a Spanish airport by his parents, who, upon discovering his passport was expired, chose to leave him behind and board their flight without him. This distressing incident underscores the profound human cost of immigration mishaps, where bureaucratic oversights lead to tragic outcomes. The boy's parents' decision to prioritize their travel plans over their child's well-being reveals the devastating consequences of immigration complications, especially when legal documentation lapses. Such stories evoke a sense of vulnerability and highlight the urgent need for more compassionate and efficient immigration processes to prevent innocent children from being left stranded or abandoned in foreign countries, emphasizing the human toll behind policy failures. CNN reports on the bizarre and alarming case of stolen watches from Keanu Reeves' Los Angeles home, which ended up in the hands of a criminal gang in Chile. The investigation uncovered that the gang, involved in home burglaries across Chile, had stolen the actor's Rolex Submariner, a gift from his John Wick film crew inscribed with his name and the film's details. The discovery was accidental. An investigator recognized the watch during a police raid, linking it to Reeves' home burglary through photos found on a suspect's phone. The case underscores the global reach of organized crime, with stolen luxury items crossing borders via parcel systems or unwitting tourists, making it difficult to trace their origins. The investigation also revealed that the gang members had migrated and continued committing crimes abroad, illustrating how international criminal networks exploit legal loopholes and transportation channels to profit from high-value stolen goods. Meanwhile, discussions about Chile's participation in the U.S. visa waiver program have intensified, with some officials blaming Chilean nationals for crime waves, prompting debates over international cooperation and border security amid concerns over transnational crime. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.